Hello, Peter. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you getting on?
Very well, thanks, Gary. Yeah, I wish I was in the what looks like a very enjoyable snug behind you there, but can't have it all. So yeah,
No.
currently at home, working away. I kind of work from home 50% of the time because we've got our leadership teams distributed globally anyway. So um, a lot of business as usual for us, but yeah, a little bit cabin feverish. But I think that appears to be the norm for everyone at the moment.
Well, whatever how bad it is right now, I guess you can slightly tap yourself on the back, um, having spent the last 10 years building the infrastructure that's now creating and maintaining any form of a new norm.
I can certainly never think of a time before now that remote collaboration tools have been used probably from a feature set perspective, more extensively, and also at the scale and intensity in which they're being used today, not as a mixed mode or an add-on or a nice to have as business operations, but really it's the only way that teams are collaborating. So yeah, great to have some positive press and maybe some might take a little while to trickle through, but recognition that data centers and the associated underlying infrastructure really is critical global infrastructure.
Yeah, I think it's nothing like demonstrable evidence. You see an awful lot, and we read a lot about the Industrial Revolution 4.0, and it's a data revolution and all this type of stuff. But it's only really when you have to use it that you realize the tools are there, and you can tap into them. Even 10 years ago, I guess this wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, and I suppose even and I'm guessing depending on where you are as a corporation today on your overall IT journey, if you're still very heavily on prem and maybe don't have that kind of the ability to kind of burst and from a bandwidth perspective, and some of these terms you hear about elasticity and so on, then maybe you're having a hard time with this remote collaboration. I mean, I think we were lucky that Yondr's fresh enough. The very obvious thing to do was have a cloud first solution. We're a cloud first company, so we essentially had to make no infrastructure changes at all, and we've been entirely stable since we shut down all of our corporate offices, kind of ahead of the curve.
It's interesting what you say about where you have your IT, but obviously last weekend there was a large list of the staff, the critical staff, to keep the country open, and they ranged from obviously health workers to pharmacies, and data center staff were right up there, which gives you a sense of and as you say, the supporting infrastructure. So I guess with slight bit of cabin fever, have you learned anything about yourself that you thought that you're not quite 40 yet? I'm over 40. We don't learn anything after that.
Well, I mean, I've been, for years, I'm 50% on the road. So I suppose the novelty for me is being grounded for this period of time. I'm normally coast to coast in the US once a month, and I'm traveling around Europe, seeing customers, seeing our teams, and so on. So that's probably the unusual component for me. I'm learning how to survive in a non-travel world, which has proven to be interesting. Scheduling exercise, and we've mobilized some resources inside Yondr to be helping people with on the mental health side, and also occupational therapists to make sure that their home setups are good enough, and so on.
Yeah.
So I've optimized around that. But yeah, really the feeling of not traveling is really the unusual one.
And do you find you've more time, less time, more reflective time?
I think the easiest trap to fall into is sitting down at the desk at say 7:30, going into my day's calendar stuff, and then looking up and seeing that it's kind of dinner time, and I haven't taken a great deal, unless it's scheduled in. I haven't taken a great deal of exercise. Probably haven't drunk enough water. Haven't moved around as much as if I was in an office or if I was traveling. So I think that's probably what I'm noticing. If I'm not scheduling this stuff in ahead of time,
You haven't taken up.
it's not getting done.
You haven't taken up the ukulele or harmonica or anything like that. You haven't found a new skill.
Lock picking, Gary.
Lock. Is that to get yourself out or get yourself back into places?
Depends which type of trouble I'm in. No, I was reading something about the notion of getting into a flow state, and it had a whole load of really very boring lists of types of active colouring in and so on. And I saw lock picking. I thought that's the one. So
Lockpick.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the first one we've had. I have to say, an interesting one. So, in terms of, you know, your own business, the way you approach things, you said earlier, which I'm really interested in, to a lot of the people you're going to talk to now post these challenges, they'll probably be an awful lot more empathetic towards what you do. You probably won't have to explain to people as much about what you're building.
In the kind like beyond the industry
Yeah,
peer-to-peer chats in the industry, yeah.
yeah.
You're probably right there. It's an easier case to say, yeah, remember that time when you're all working from home? Yeah, we build those big buildings that have the servers in that make that possible. Yeah, you're right, but that's probably an easier soundbite.
We spoke about this before, I think, and the industry itself isn't great at communicating what it does, because I think they talk about mission critical and they talk about a lot of stuff technical. To me, that's like most people want to drive their car. They don't really want to get into the detail of the spark plug. Now you're basically able to empathize. So I think it'll help the industry as well. What would you think, in your own 3 words, as it were, this situation we find ourselves in is not the same everywhere at the same time? And
Yeah.
obviously, we learned a lot in Ireland from what was going on in other geographic areas. And we've got some other people experiencing at a different stage. What's 3 words, if you had 3 words, what would you say to people right now that are going to be watching this?
Stay at home.
Stay
I'm
at
no expert, but that seems to be the consistent message.
It sure is. Well, thank you so much for your time, Peter.
Pleasure. Thanks for the chat, and look forward to seeing you in person once this all settles down a bit.
Yeah, and Dohany's Nesbits is waiting in the background here for we see each other. So thank you so much, Peter, and stay safe.
Look forward to it. Cheers, guy.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Bye bye.